Hello, and thank you for joining today's session focused on the UBCAT funding program. My name is Kim Grant, and I'm the Business Development Executive for the University of Buffalo Center of Excellence in Bioinformatics and Life Sciences, located on the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus. Joining me today is my colleague, Natalie Weil, Program Manager for the UBCAT program. Just a little housekeeping before we get started. The objective of this presentation is to share information about the UBCAT program and the mission, discuss project requirements and guidelines required by the state, review how we select which projects to fund, highlight one of our previous CAT success stories and how they use the program to advance their company, and lastly, review the application process and answer some of the most common questions that come up during the development of a CAT project. Following this presentation, there will be a link to the UBCAT program website that will have more information for you and an email address where you can initiate a meeting with one of our team. Now, without further ado, let's get started with some background information. Just a little bit about us. The University of Buffalo is the largest comprehensive research institution in the state of New York system. UB has been at the forefront of many of the activities that have contributed to the Western New York region's renaissance. You may have heard of the Bright Buffalo Entrepreneur Expo, the Career Experience Program, the Pre-Seed Workshop, Innovation Lecture Series, or our Incubator Network, in addition to the UBCAT. As our area continues to grow, we believe that UB is uniquely positioned to link academic research with our industry partners' commercial interests and facilitates innovation that will help grow the New York State economy. To do this, UB created a front door to the university called Business and Entrepreneur Partnerships. Our team has a vision to leverage UB's world-class faculty, unique facilities, specialized equipment, and exceptional students to help foster a thriving university and regional innovation ecosystem. We are accomplishing this by focusing on commercialization efforts both for innovations being developed at the university and by those entrepreneurial-minded people in our community. These efforts include funding programs for proof of concept and seed funding for startups, funding for students to work at our industry partners' locations. Students are paid by us so they can have experiential learning opportunities in real-world situations. We also help organizations access state-funded facilities and equipment without incurring costly capital expenditures. All in all, we are here to help you achieve your organizational goals, whether that's developing a new product, pursuing a new market, identifying a way to cut cost out of the production of your product, or creating more efficiency in your operations. UB is here with the goal of building partnerships, leveraging university resources, and helping companies grow and prosper. Today, we're going to focus specifically on the UBCAT program. UBCAT is a cost-sharing funding program supported by NYSTAR, Empire State's Development Division of Science, Technology, and Innovation. NYSTAR supports a statewide network of 15 CATs, each with a different technology focus that aligns with the university they are co-located with. The UBCAT is focused on big data and health sciences. In 2017, we were awarded our second 10-year designation. That translates to $1 million a year for 10 years. A portion of that funding is designated for project cost sharing. The remaining funds support business development efforts, programming, and purchasing and maintaining shared equipment. At its core, the UBCAT projects drive substantial economic impact for New York State annually. UBCAT projects' eligibility will be based on innovations in drug development, diagnostic tool development, medical devices, healthcare IT, and biomedical informatics. The focus area of our previous CAT was in biotechnology and bioengineering, but with the industry trending towards personalized medicine, mobile health tracking, smartphone applications connecting to Fitbits, Apple Watches, and the like, and embedded sensors and algorithms used to quantify clinical data to aid in the diagnosis and treatment of patients, the state refined our focus area to include a big data element in the projects that we fund. Over the years, we've seen a variety of different CAT projects. Some move the needle on the next iteration of a product or prototype. Some projects verify and validate previous test results. Some projects are refined and build in a sensor technology in a particular device or develop software algorithms. My suggestion is to look at what you're working on and what the next point of inflection is in your development. If that next initiative has a big data component, let's talk about how we can help you accomplish it with a CAT project. Our goal is to help. If we can help offset costs, provide you with contacts or expertise that will accelerate your development, leverage the buying power of the university by acquiring materials at a lower, more competitive cost, or take advantage of CAT's lower indirect fees that Natalie will address in a few moments, CAT allows your company to use your time, money, and people resources more effectively. Let's take a moment to talk about economic impact and how we measure and report success. Although there is no charge for our services, we do need to report back to the state how our programs are positively affecting the companies we work with. So any company we do work with knows that the expectation is they will be asked to complete an economic impact letter once a year. That would include how many new employees were hired, how many jobs were retained. As a result of working with UB, were there additional funds raised? Were they federal funds from SBIR or STTR, revenue from sales, or investment from the venture community? If the company realized any cost savings by utilizing a piece of equipment that UB had instead of needing to go out and purchase it themselves, can we quantify that savings? And last but not least, as a result of working with us, were there any capital expenditures made for large pieces of equipment, office expansions, modifications, or any changes that needed to be made to accommodate your company's growth? Although I recognize the reason you're participating in this webinar is because you're interested in learning about CAT funding, I'll take a moment to share last year's economic impact results so that when you're filling out your application, you'll have a greater appreciation of how this funding has positively impacted the companies collaborating with the University of Buffalo. In the fiscal year July 1st, 2016 to June 30th, 2017, the CAT return on investment yielded $38 million and 110 new jobs created across New York State. Our most notable success story is Athleanx, formerly known as Kynex, founded by UB faculty member David Hangauer. Athleanx is a global biopharmaceutical company dedicated to the discovery, development, and commercialization of novel cancer therapies. Through its various NISTAR programs, including 6 CAT projects, UB has supported Athleanx's growth and commercialization efforts since their inception over a decade ago. Their original office and lab space were in the Center of Excellence. Over the course of 10 years, they experienced $1.3 million in cost savings using UB equipment and facilities. Their original product packaging was done in our clean room on the 4th floor of the Center of Excellence. And they raised in excess of $200 million in private investment during their IPO in June of 2017. Most recently, they've entered into a partnership with the state of New York to build a state-of-the-art manufacturing facility in Dunkirk, where they'll hire 450 full-time, highly skilled employees. Despite their success and growth trajectory, they still maintain an R&D lab and office at the Center of Excellence. At this time, I'd like to turn the webinar over to my colleague, Natalie Weil, Program Manager of the UB CAT, to review program guidelines and provide you with some detailed information on the application process. Natalie?
Thank you, Kim. I'm going to take just a few minutes to walk through the nuts and bolts of the program and hopefully provide answers to questions around eligibility and project requirements, as well as provide additional guidelines for budget development and next steps. First, let me review the eligibility criteria. In order to be eligible for funding, your company must be registered as a New York State business and have an office location in the state. The company must have at least one full-time employee and must have access to matching funds that can be contributed to the cost of your project. While the matching requirements can vary from year to year, it is capped so that small companies with fewer than 100 employees would owe no more than $1.50 for each dollar contributed by the CAT, and large companies with 100 or more employees would owe no more than $3 for each CAT dollar provided. Now I am going to move on to discuss specific requirements for CAT projects. First, the project period runs from July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019. All project spending will need to be completed by June 30th, and final reports would need to be submitted by July 31st of 2019. Next, in order to proceed with a project, a company must work with a University at Buffalo principal investigator. If you are seeking UB faculty members with a specific expertise, our business development staff can help you make those connections. In your application, you will need to demonstrate a need for funding, as well as potential economic impact for New York State. You will also be asked to show how your project aligns with the UBCAT technology focus area of big data and health sciences. Finally, if you are selected for funding, you will be required to enter into a research agreement wherein your company will need to abide by UB's intellectual property terms and reporting requirements, which include a final project report and economic impact reporting for 5 years. We will now move on to a review of budget development. When developing your project budget, please remember to include project-related items only. The CAT cannot pay for general operating expenses or any expenses that do not directly tie into the scope of work for your project. What we do cover are expenses related to university personnel that may include a researcher or a UB Tech. We can also pay for graduate and undergraduate student support. Tuition expenses should be budgeted for any graduate students working on your project, unless there is already an alternative tuition plan through the student's department. This is something that would be coordinated with the PI of your project. Materials and supplies, as well as consulting services, can be covered. Equipment can be purchased through the UBCAT in certain circumstances. If a piece of equipment is necessary to your project, it can be purchased. However, it will be inventoried through the university and considered university property. It also must be made available to other industry partners to use if they wish. Because of these guidelines from the state, equipment that will not be housed at the university cannot be purchased through your grant. Finally, travel requires prior approval, and you must provide justification of how it aligns with your project. As for what we cannot cover, rent, capital costs, utility, and legal expenses are considered general operating expenses and could not be approved. CAT funding is intended for applied research projects. This means a project must be on the path to commercialization and beyond the point of basic research. Projects related to validation, optimization, and prototyping are acceptable examples. The UBCAT is not able to pay for any expenses related to employees of the company that receive CAT funding. In other words, we cannot pay employee salaries, nor can we pay for travel costs associated with your company's employees. Finally, the CAT cannot reimburse your company for project-related expenses. When the company enters into a research agreement, they will pay project matching funds to the university, and all project expenses will then be administered directly through UB. Hopefully now you have a better understanding of some of the nuances of the program. I'd like to take a moment and provide an overview of the CAT award process. Right now we are in the first box. The RFP has been released. We ask that you familiarize yourself with that document and the project application. If you think you may be interested in submitting an application, the next step is to schedule a meeting to discuss the specifics with CAT program staff. I will provide more details on how to do that in a few moments. Once you have met with staff and are on course with your application, you will then need to submit your application no later than 5 p.m. on March 15th to ubcatprogram@buffalo.edu. When we have your application, it will go through a 2-step review process. First, CAT program staff will review your application for eligibility. If your application fulfills the eligibility and review criteria, it will then go on to the UBCAT Industrial Advisory Board for final review in early June. The advisory board is a panel comprised of local experts in the life sciences and big data arena that help guide our grant-making process and decisions with technical input and assessments. Once a slate of grants has been established for the 2018-19 project year, CAT program staff will make notifications to all applicants to let them know next steps. If your award is not funded, we will be happy to meet with you and discuss feedback and suggestions. Companies that are funded will be required to enter into a formal research agreement with the university. Once a research agreement is executed, project accounts will be set up and work can begin. At the end of the project period, companies that receive funding are required to complete a short final report and once again must also provide economic impact for 5 years. It is my hope that you now have a better understanding of what the CAT is. The CAT is a project cost-sharing grant, meaning companies that are awarded funding are required to contribute matching funds to share in the cost of their project. When we come to who is eligible to apply for a UBCAT, you must be a registered New York State health sciences company with at least one full-time employee and a location in New York State that is working with big data in order to address specific challenges or advanced technologies on the path to commercialization. And finally, why consider a UBCAT project? Because through the CAT, eligible companies can leverage the funds we provide on top of additional cost savings through subsidized equipment and service rates and low indirect cost rates, as well as access to UB faculty expertise and business development support. With that, if you are eligible and interested in applying for a UBCAT project, we ask that you schedule a meeting with the CAT program staff, either in person or by phone, to discuss your specific ideas and questions prior to submitting an application. We have set aside meeting times on February 7th, 8th, 13th, and 16th. Spots fill up quickly, so please email ubcatprogram@buffalo.edu to request your time slot. If you are not available on any of the selected dates, we will work with you to schedule an alternative date and time, so please do not hesitate to reach out. If you are still not sure if the CAT is the right fit for your company, or you would like to learn more about other resources and offerings through UB's business and entrepreneur partnerships, please visit our website or contact us directly through the UBCAT email address listed on this slide. And finally, here are some important links for you to follow if you are interested in more information and resources, or if you would like to revisit or share this webinar. Thank you very much for taking the time to learn more about the UB Center for Advanced Technology and Big Data and Health Sciences. We look forward to hearing from you and hope you book your meeting with us today.